Well, I might draw.
Hello, this is James Hinwood. I've also watched Black Panther. I thought it was a very good movie. I thought T'Chaka, my favourite character. T'Chaka.
Who's that?
You know, the main guy.
The T'Challa.
T'Challa, fuck. So what are we videoing today?
The review for Mute.
Oh, Mute! Yeah, it's a good film, but there's no sound. I'm actually so funny. That was good off the spot.
Yeah. Mute is directed by Duncan Jones and it stars Alexander Skarsgård, Justin Theroux and Paul Rudd amongst other actors. And I'm not going to bother talking about what the movie is about because quite frankly it's not a good one. Mute was a massive letdown and probably the first bad film I've seen in a while. So this was a massive letdown because it's directed by Duncan Jones, who is, you know, for the longest time in Hollywood been sort of like the next big thing. You know, I loved Moon, I love Source Code, and I was one of the few people who liked Warcraft, so the fact that I didn't like this movie at all was very mind-boggling, and of course it has some great actors in it. Justin Theroux, one of my personal favourites. I'll talk about the acting in just a bit, but you know, when I heard that this movie was going to be made, I was very excited. When I saw the trailer, I was less excited because the trailer was not very well put together. But now, after having seen the film, I know exactly why the trailer was so bad. It's because they literally had nothing to work with. Mute doesn't really have a story. I mean, it does, but like, it's not really a story. Like, the story like kicks in like 25 minutes into the movie, and when it does kick in, there's like no sense of urgency, there's no sense of excitement, there's no sense of direction. It's just story for the sake of having the characters do something, even though the characters don't actually do anything. And one of the things that pissed me off most about this movie was the setting and how they utilized it, because if you look at the trailer visually, it's a Blade Runner ripoff. But we've had Blade Runner ripoffs done in really, really impressive ways, like Ghost in the Shell and Altered Carbon, which, by the way, Altered Carbon is also on Netflix, and it's much better. Watching 2 episodes of Altered Carbon, I think you'd have a much better time doing that than watching Mute, honestly. They don't really utilize this really cool dystopian cyberpunk setting in any creative way. In fact, if this film was set in the modern day, there would be very little difference at all. And so the fact that they had the budget to do this great setting and they didn't actually use it in any impressive way just really bothered me. I also have to say that the character work here is pretty poor. The main character, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who is trying, you can see in some scenes where you're like, oh my god, yeah, this is a pretty decent performance here. But for the most part, it's not really a character. You don't feel for him at all, you don't care about him, you don't care about what he cares about, you don't care about his journey. He has no charisma, he's just kind of like emotional for the sake of being emotional. And one of the things that really bothered me was that this, you know, the main character is the mute, he can't speak, he can hear you but he can't speak. And in this film, it's just, he can't speak because, again, just for the sake of not being able to speak. Whereas in something like The Shape of Water, we see the fact that someone can't speak. They utilize that and they use it as a device into the story. And Guillermo del Toro and Sally Hawkins did something really unique and magical with that. But here, it's just, he can't speak and that's it. And he really did not feel like a character at all. And you can see that Alexander Skarsgård is trying, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't work. The 2 best things about this film that pretty much everyone on the internet has agreed on are Paul Rudd and Justin Theroux. These 2 actually feel like characters. In fact, I would say that they're the only 2 characters in the movie. And again, they don't really have much to do. It's just like they do this random thing and certain character traits are given to them just because. The performances are still good. And it's always great to see Justin Theroux as a fan of The Leftovers. But that's not enough, though. This is a film. And, you know, some people have been saying that this doesn't really qualify as a film, and I do agree. It just feels like random episodes of TV just kind of stuck together. And I'm sorry, I feel really bad sort of like talking shit about someone else's film because I probably couldn't do that. But I would say that in this case, if I was given that much money and all these great actors, I probably could do something better than this because Mute really is a big fat fucking disappointment of a film. There is barely any stories, the characters don't work, the setting is completely wasted. I'm gonna give Mute a C-. That's, I'm pretty sure that's the first C- I've ever given a film, actually, yeah. This was not a good film. I would not recommend you watch this unless you're into filmmaking, because then you would know what not to do. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I will be reviewing Lady Bird tomorrow, which is a much better film, as a part of my Oscars. We know we're getting very close to the Oscars now, and I'm very excited. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you.